Good morning. So I've been thinking about doing a YouTube channel for quite a long time, and I've been thinking about how I should do it, and I've been writing notes and how to do an intro, and I was laying in bed and I thought, you know what, I should just do it and then figure it out along the way. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get up and create a video, and here we are. So I've woken up, I feel a little bit sick. You might be able to hear it in my voice. So my glands are up a little bit. I understand what's going on. Brett and I are going away for the weekend, and we've booked into a retreat, and that is a really, really good thing, but I also know it's sort of challenging me at a bit of a core level, what we're going to be learning. So my body has been processing that all week. So although I have a little bit of a cold, I understand what's going on. And the cold is sort of the second symptom. The first symptom has been like my lower back has been so sore, and my hips, and I've even had to change the way that I sleep and a whole heap of stuff. So it's so cool when you actually know what's going on with your body and you don't have to freak out. Anywho, it's the morning. I've literally just got up. So I haven't done the dishes from the night before. Like, welcome to my kitchen, welcome to my messy house. And the first thing I'm gonna do is have some water and then make a coffee. And I wanna show you how I do that. I wanna show you how I do that in zero waste. So first thing, I'm gonna get the jug. You can kind of see everything in here. So here's my jug. So I always use filtered water. So if I can turn this around a little bit, here's the other part of my kitchen, and here is our water. So we rent where we live. So I have looked into getting a reverse osmosis filter on our kitchen tap. However, because our house is pretty old, that's not an option, because you can't get the fitting, and we're not going to change everything. So we use a countertop water filter, and I got that for $5 off Gumtree, which is a second-hand online program that you can use in Australia. And then in that, I've got a filter from Southern Cross water filters maybe, which is one of the only ones that I was able to find, which is a countertop system like that, which strips the chlorine and the fluoride out of the water. So I personally don't like, my personal preference would be to drink rainwater. I way prefer to have rainwater, but where we are, we don't have that option. So I'm just going to chuck the kettle on. And so there's a couple of other things that I want to do this morning. One is, the weather is just starting to turn really beautiful in Perth, so I want to wax. So I'm going to make up some homemade wax this morning. I've also run out of face moisturizer, so I'm going to make up some more of that. So I'll take you through those couple of things. But while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, I shall put you on pause. I know how to. Okay, so this is how I make my coffee in the morning. So this is a coffee pot, which I actually broke when I was washing up the other day. So the spout is broken. I don't know. Oh, there's still water in there. I hadn't washed it from yesterday, so I've just rinsed it out. So anywho, we use plunger coffee because one of the biggest values in our life is not producing any waste. So especially single-use packaging. So that means I've adopted ways in our life to make sure that we live a waste-free life, basically. It's almost impossible to fully avoid waste, but we do the best that we can. So what I've got here, so this is a coffee that I've bought from my local bulk food store, which is called the Wasteless Pantry. So let's use a scoop of that, pop that in. Oh, I missed a bit. And then let's get the water, honey, and I like to use a bit of coconut powder as well. I don't know how to do this without like bending right down. Anywho, so I'll just pop the water in there. So this is for me. So I have like a big coffee in the morning. Excuse me. And then, so because of the whole waste thing, we haven't used dairy in our house for, I don't know, a long time, years. Well, I haven't. Brett and I have only lived together for like a year and a half, but we don't have dairy in our house because you get it in single-use packaging. So when I say about avoiding waste, it's not just like waste that goes in the rubbish bin, it's also waste that goes into the recycling bin as well. So what we use instead is, this is powdered coconut milk. However, I have recently got onto a wonderful, wonderful lady who has a beautiful milking cow, and they both really love each other, and I feel really very fine about going and getting that milk. So I actually have a 4.5 litre pail that I take down and get refilled. So just in the last 2 weeks, we actually have had access to milk. But I don't want dairy in my life for things like having in coffees. So the reason I have started to get dairy is so that I can have cultured milk products. So I make yogurt, I make kefir, and then turn that into kefir curds. And what that is, that's a way of lacto fermenting dairy, which is traditionally what was done with dairy. So before there were fridges and ways of keeping things cool, like obviously there were root cellars, but that's how they preserved the shelf life of food, was to ferment it. And when you do lacto ferment something, that gets full of good bacteria. So the fermenting process basically turns, well, it doesn't turn, but it creates more good bacteria than bad bacteria. And then that goes into us when we eat it, and that's really good for gut health. So, anywho, I got sidetracked. I have a feeling that I might do that quite a lot, actually, when I make videos. Anywho, this is coconut milk powder. So I'm just going to put a couple of spoons in here. With everything that I do, I like to do it the lazy man way. Like, I want to get to the end result the quickest way. So there is nothing in our life that is overcomplicated. So anywho, I'm just going to stir that up. And this is a good way of doing it because like you kind of get chunks. This is a vegan coconut milk and you get these chunks. So I don't get those in my coffee when I put the plunger down, which is cool. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of honey as well. I've only been doing this recently and I really like it. I got a great book the other day from the op shop on like a really old school honey book, and I was reading about all the benefits of honey, which I really enjoyed as well. So anywho, right, I'm going to mix that up. Make sure all the honey and everything is dissolved. Put my plunger on. And yeah, I just let that sit for a little bit. So I am going to go and enjoy my coffee. And then, like ideally making videos, I should really go and shower. And I like to put on eye makeup. I don't normally go out. Oh no, that's not true. I do go out in public without makeup, but normally I do wear eye makeup. So the fact that I'm doing videos in my pink fluffy robe, completely makeup free, is, well, it gives you a real insight into my life actually, so it's a good thing. Anywho, I'm not going to shower first. I'm not going to shower after my coffee because I want to wax my legs. So it makes sense to wax my legs and my underarms before having a shower, and I want to run you through the process of that as well. And I need to just make my new face moisturizer before I have a shower as well, so I've got some when I get out. So I'm going to have my cuppa and then I shall come back and we'll go through those. I have a feeling this could end up being like a pretty long video, so I might have to edit. Anywho, okay. Okay, so I've just adjusted the camera. Might be a little bit wonky. Oh no, it might be right. So hopefully this isn't too far away, but this means that I don't have to bend down and I can actually get my head in the shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new face moisturizer. So what I do is I get out of the shower, I use a toner, and then I just put some serum straight on my face, which acts as a moisturizer for me, which is really perfect. So, because I've got oily skin. So, this is the little bottle that I am refilling. So what I'm gonna do is first up, I'm gonna put in some essential oils. So, I really like frankincense. So I'm going to put in 5 drops of that. I used to check this with my pendulum to find out what oils to use, but I've found the more intuitive I've got, the less I've needed to do that. So this one's sandalwood, but this takes like ages to come out of the bottle. Sometimes, come on. If anyone has tips for how to get essential oils out of the bottle easier. You know what? That's taking too long for primetime TV. So I shall add that in later. And I'm going to put in a little bit of eucalyptus as well. And this one's the opposite. This one comes out like super fast. So I'm going to be really careful. And put some drops of that. So now I've got frankincense and eucalyptus, and then I'm just going to top that up. So I'm using jojoba oil, which is the oil, the carrier oil that I've been using recently. And I'll pop back in my dropper, give it a shake, and that's it. So when I want to moisturize my face or skin, I just put, actually I'm not going to do it, but I just put about half a dropper load on, rub my hands together, rub it on my face, and that's it. So the next thing that I want to do is make up some hair removal wax. So for that, I use, I use white sugar. And the reason I use white sugar, so this is really the only time in my life that I use white refined sugar, but it's really the only thing that you can use for the job because you want to see when it turns colour when you're cooking it. So I'm using 1 cup of this. That's a better idea. So 1 cup of sugar. And then I want 1/4 of a cup of lemons. So these are fresh off our tree. So what I do is I just juice those through a strainer. And that gets the pips out. I'm going to use 1 more. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to add that to the sugar. And then I'm going to do 1/4 cup of water. And that's it. That's how easy making hair removal wax is. So what I'm going to do is mix this up. And then I'm going to simmer it on the stove top until it turns colour. So I'm going to stir it now quickly, and that's pretty much the only time I stir it. Like I might stir it a couple of times throughout the cooking process, but I'm going to put it on the cooktop now and then we'll go over there. Right, so okay, so I've got that on. There's a few little black bits in there, but that's just because I've used that sugar in my workshops as well for making face scrubs, I think. So anyhow, I'm just going to leave that now, but what I am going to do is get a Pyrex bowl. And I'm going to leave that next to it because this is basically like cooking toffee, right? So I'm going to cook that until it turns a yellow colour. I've got some wax actually that I could show you. So I'm going to, oh yeah I do, I'll go get some. Anyway, I'm going to cook that till it's a yellow colour. And then, so that it stops cooking, so that it doesn't continue to cook in the pan, I'm going to transfer it over to a Pyrex bowl to cool. So that there is the colour that I want to get to. So that's some from an old batch. And so that beautiful like golden honey type colour. Right, so I reckon that's about right. So it's about the right colour. You can see there it's turned like a nice yellowy golden colour. So I'm going to turn it off. And then I'm going to transfer it into my Pyrex container. So I've been washing up while I've been waiting for that, but now I just really need to leave that for a bit because that is super, super hot. That's toffee, effectively. And the last time I waxed my legs, which was quite a while ago, before winter probably, I burnt myself. But I tried a slightly different recipe and I tried using apple cider vinegar instead of lemon. And I should know by now, when you find the right recipe that really works and is really simple, like I just shouldn't have messed with the system. And I'm pretty sure that that is why I burnt my leg actually. So anywho, I'm going to finish doing the dishes and let that cool down a little bit. And then when it's cool enough, I shall do my waxing. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've just made up a container for my hair removal wax. And I'm going to transfer this in. So that's actually looking pretty good. I reckon I'd actually want it a little bit hotter than that to use. I want it a little bit runnier, but that's not burning me or anything. So it's going to be easier for me to reheat this in a water bath by putting it into a container than using this Pyrex dish. And so, you know, if I don't use up this whole batch this time, then I'll just reheat it to use it for future. Or I could definitely use a larger pan and, you know, double, triple the quantity so that you don't have to make it regularly. You can just make up a year's worth or a few months worth or weeks worth or whatever. Depends on how often you like to wax.
getting stuck. So ideally I probably should have done that while it was a little bit hotter. Anywho, that's okay. I've been finishing doing the dishes and pottering around. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to get a water bath going. So I'm going to use the same pot that I just used. Put some tap water in there. I'm just going to put that on and then heat that water, and then that will remelt that, and then it'll be ready to use. But I also just had a look. This is the last lot of wax that I made with the apple cider vinegar. I obviously burnt myself and then left the spatula thing in there, but I'm just having a look, and on the top is soft. Like, that shouldn't be like that. So that to me is more proof not to use the apple cider vinegar and just to stick with the lemon juice. So what I need to do now, this is what I used to just refill all the time. This was one of my wax pots when I used to buy store-bought wax. So I'm going to heat that up as well because I want to get that spatula out. So now I need to re-melt that so I can get the spatula out and so that I can tip that into the compost as well. So I'm just going to chuck both of those in there. And then I'm going to go wash this up, and I'm going to go have a look to see if I have another spatula, and I'll get things like my wax strips ready as well. Okay, so I've just been able to get that out, which is cool. Right, so I'm just going to put that in the boiling water. So hot water will just melt this wax. I mean, it's just sugar, like toffee. I don't really care if that bit is dirty. But that's cool. So now I'll be able to just pour that out into the compost, or I might just dig a hole actually, otherwise the chickens and dogs will get to it. So I might go do that now, and then what I'm going to do is turn that off. I'll take that one out, and I'm just going to put this back in because that's looking really good, but I'll just give it, like, I'm happy with that consistency for waxing, but I'll just let it heat up a little bit more while I go and fluff around outside. And then I'm going to leave it in that water bath when I do my waxing, just to keep the heat up to it. So it won't be on because I'm going to have it on the table, but I'll keep it in the hot water. And so I'll just leave that to dry out as well. Okay. Okay, so I'm ready to go. So I've got my wax. This is my creative genius section behind me, so just excuse the mess. These are the wax strips that I use. So they're like a heavy sort of denim type material actually. I bought them years ago when I lived in Alice Springs. Well, I lived in Uluru actually, but when I was visiting Alice Springs, because I was working as a cameleer at the time, and I bought these to make some heat packs. So I made up camel shaped heat packs where the legs went around your neck. Anywho, that wasn't something that I ended up pursuing. So I had all this material left over. I didn't know if it would work for wax strips, but they work really, really well. So a friend had an overlocker, so I just took it and overlocked it. So I've got my wax still in the hot water bath. So now I'll just get on to waxing, which I'm not going to show you because I'm in my robe and I don't want like an accident to happen and reveal something that I really shouldn't, because that would just be wrong. Anywho, that is it. So I'm going to leave it there for my first YouTube video. But I feel like this is like a really, really cool new addition to my life and to my work, because I feel like I have so much to share and so much to to talk about. Really, I could do this all day long. So please subscribe. I would love for you to subscribe, and next to the subscribe button, I recently found out that if you click on the little bell, then you get notifications when a new video is released, which is cool as well. Okay, the battery thing is flashing at me on the camera. This is all a new world for me. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day or evening wherever you are.